Hachette Audio presents Jack&Jill, written by James Patterson, read by Ron Butler and Maxwell Hamilton. For John Carristy. Prologue. The games begin. 1. Sam Harrison swung his agile body out of the silver-blue Ford Aerostar, which he had parked on Q Street in the Georgetown section of Washington. Horror stories and games are popular for a good reason, he was thinking as he locked the vehicle and set its alarm. Not the comfortable sit-around-the-campfire horror tales and games we used to cherish as kids, but the real-life horror stories that are around us everywhere these days. Now I'm living one myself. I'm about to become part of the horror. How easy it is. How terribly, terribly easy to move past the edge and into the darkness. He had stalked and shadowed Daniel Fitzpatrick for 2 long weeks. He'd done his job in New York City, London, Boston, and finally, here in Washington, D.C. Tonight, he was going to murder the United States Senator, in cold blood, execution style. No one would be able to figure out why. No one would have a clue what might matter later on. That was the first and most important rule of the game called Jack&Jill. In many ways, this was a textbook celebrity stalker pattern. He knew it to be true as he took up his post across from 211 Q Street. And yet, if anyone bothered to look more closely, it was like no other stalking pattern before. What he was going to do now was more provocative than secretly observing Senator Fitzpatrick down obscene numbers of Glenlivet cocktails at the Monocle, his favorite bar in Washington. This was the truest form of madness, Sam Harrison knew. It was pure madness. He didn't believe he was mad. He believed only in the validity of the game of chance. And then, less than 30 yards across the shiny wet street, there was Daniel Fitzpatrick himself, right on schedule, at least close enough. He watched the senator stiffly climb out of a gleaming navy blue Jaguar coupe, a 1996 model. He wore a gray topcoat with a paisley silk scarf. A sleek, slender woman in a black dress was with him. A Burberry raincoat was casually thrown over her arm. She was laughing at something Fitzpatrick had said. She threw her head back like a beautiful, spirited horse. A wisp of her warm breath met the cool of the night. The woman was at least 20 years the senator's junior. She wasn't his wife, Sam knew. Danny Boy Fitzpatrick rarely, if ever, slept with his wife. The blonde woman walked with a slight limp, which made the two of them even more intriguing. Memorable, actually. Sam Harrison concentrated fiercely. Measure twice. Measure 5 times, if necessary. He took stock of all the details one final time. He had arrived in Georgetown at 11:15. He looked as if he belonged in the chic, attractive, fashionable neighborhood around Q Street. He looked exactly right for the part he was going to play. A very big part in a very big story, one of the biggest in America's history, or some would say American theater. A leading man role, to be sure. He wore professional tortoise-shell glasses for the part. He never wore glasses, didn't need them.